The Eight Immortals Travel East, Chapter 34.
Imagine being like a legendary battle-hardened general.
Right.
You're standing at the edge of this massive valley
Yep.
with your emperor, and you look down at the enemy forces, ready to issue, the standard orders, flank left, hold the center, charge the cavalry.
The usual playbook.
Exactly, the usual playbook.
Yeah.
But as you stare into the valley, you realize you have absolutely no idea what you were looking at.
Yeah, that's bad.
Right. I mean, there are no recognizable front lines,
Yeah.
no standard infantry blocks. Instead, you're staring at this terrifying, impenetrable, magical fortress built out of, soldiers, illusions, and strange architecture.
Completely alien to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your playbook is useless. You are facing absolute tactical paralysis.
And that's honestly one of the most terrifying scenarios a military leader can face. You aren't just outgunned in that moment. You are fundamentally outcomprehended.
Yes.
And that scenario is exactly what we're exploring today. We're pulling from this really incredible excerpt in Chapter 34 of the classic Chinese text, Journey to the East. Specifically, it's a chapter titled, Zongbao Discusses the Formation and Leaks the Secret.
Which is such a brilliant text to dig into. Well, Journey to the East isn't just dry history. It takes these very real historical conflicts of the Song dynasty and elevates them into, high fantasy mythology.
Absolutely.
You get real military stakes blended with universe-bending magic. Perfectly captures the intricacies of tactical warfare, the mechanics of mystical arrays, and the devastating real-world consequences of a leaked secret.
Yeah, that leaked secret part is, well, we'll get there, but it's brutal. To ground you in the geography of this standoff first, though, we are at Nine Dragon Valley.
Okay.
The Song Dynasty army is facing off against the forces of Emperor Shao, who represents this massive existential threat from the north. And the battlefield Emperor Shao has constructed is called the 72-seat Heavenly Gate Array.
I mean, just the name alone sounds like something you do not want to mess with.
No, not at all.
So we have the Song commanders, Wang Quanji and Li Ming, marching out to meet this threat. Now, these are veterans. They know how to read a battlefield.
Right, they've seen it all.
But they take one look at this array, which is described as being layered incredibly heavily, almost like a fortified city, and they just stop dead in their tracks.
Yeah, and Wang Quanji makes a highly pragmatic decision here, which is kind of rare for these epics.
Right.
He recognizes this isn't a standard deployment. He looks at this labyrinth of troops and interconnected platforms and realizes that if they attack blindly, they will be utterly annihilated.
Yeah.
So he just refuses to engage. He orders his cartographers to draw a detailed map of the formation to send directly to Emperor Zenzong.
You almost have to admire that restraint. Like the arrogant commander who just yells, "Charge," and gets everyone killed is such a common historical trope.
Right, the Leroy Jenkins approach.
Exactly. But Wang Quanji actually admits he's out of his depth.
Yeah.
But when that map reaches the emperor, the situation escalates from, field-level confusion to imperial panic.
Utter panic.
The emperor is terrified. He summons his top general from the Three Passes, which is essentially the empire's most critical, heavily fortified border zone. That general is Yang Lulang.
And the terror only deepens when General Lulang, a man who has literally spent his entire life studying warfare, also admits he cannot decipher the map.
Wow.
The desperation reaches such a pitch that Emperor Zenzong himself travels to the front lines, and he brings along the legendary seasoned veteran Lady Yang, often referred to as Lingpo.
So it's everyone.
Yeah, you have the ultimate concentration of the Empire's military and political genius standing at Nine Dragon Valley, and every single one of them is completely stumped.
Okay, let's unpack this with a modern analogy so you can really feel the psychological weight of this failure. Imagine a massive global corporation gets hit by a cyber attack.
Oh, good analogy.
Right. The network goes down, and the cybersecurity team opens up the logs to see what they're dealing with. But they don't see standard ransomware. They see an architecture they don't recognize, written in a programming language that just seems to defy logic.
Yeah.
Totally alien code.
The lead engineer is sweating. So they call in the chief information security officer. Nothing. They call in the CEO, the board of directors, the brilliant retired founder of the company. Now you have all the smartest, most powerful people in the organization standing around a server rack, openly admitting they have no idea what is happening.
Right.
What does that do to the morale of the thousands of people waiting for instructions?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the psychological foundation just completely crumbles. The authority of an emperor or legendary general like Lady Yang, it rests entirely on their perceived omniscience and competence.
Yeah, they have to be the ones with the answers.
Exactly. The moment they shrug their shoulders in front of the troops, the army ceases to be a cohesive fighting force. You simply cannot fight what your own leaders cannot even perceive.
So the greatest adult minds of the Song Empire hit a massive, impenetrable wall. And just when the dread settles in completely, the solution walks into the War Council.
Yes.
And it comes from the most unlikely source imaginable, a 14-year-old boy. Right, that would be young Zongbao, the teenage son of General Lu Lang. He walks right into this tent full of panicking, legendary adults and casually announces that he can break the unbreakable array.
I mean, his father's reaction is entirely predictable.
Oh, yeah, he loses it.
Lu Lang is furious. He's standing next to the emperor dealing with an existential crisis, and his teenage son starts mouthing off. Lu Lang is ready to just throw him out. But Lady Yang, the veteran grandmother, steps in. She sees something in the boy's confidence and tells him to speak.
And Zongbao doesn't just offer arrogant bravado. He steps up to the map and delivers a surgical structural analysis of the 72-seat Heavenly Gate Array.
Yeah.
He maps out how it stretches from the northeast all the way to the southwest, encompassing 72 interconnected command platforms. He understands that it's not just a collection of troops. It's designed to act as a single, massive, routing organism.
And before he even breaks down the weaknesses, he points out the most dangerous defense mechanism.
Right, the trap.
He directs their attention to the right side of the formation, under a cluster of black flags. He explains that the unnatural darkness there is a trap hiding demon women, which is a psychological and magical defense specifically designed to confuse, disorient, and swallow up any invading force.
Right.
So he isn't underestimating the enemy. He fully respects the threat.
And recognizing the danger is what makes his subsequent breakdown of the vulnerabilities so compelling. Zongbao starts diagnosing the formation, and his analysis is so meticulous it relies entirely on the deep mechanics of Chinese elemental philosophy.
Right.
He isn't just saying the left flank looks weak, he is identifying fatal structural deficiencies.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because he points to the very center of the formation, the Jade Emperor Pavilion. This is the central command node. And he says it is missing exactly 49 sky lanterns. Now, why does a military base need sky lanterns?
Well, in this cosmological framework, the center must provide illumination and guidance to the rest of the array. The number 49-7 times 7 is highly significant in Chinese mysticism. It often represents a complete cycle or celestial alignment. Without those 49 lanterns, the brain of the array is functionally blind. It cannot effectively broadcast its commands to the peripheral nodes.
And that central blindness creates a cascading failure across the rest of the system. Like, he moves to the Azure Dragon Array, which represents the east, and he notes it is missing the 9-bend Yellow River water.
Right.
If we stick to the elemental logic, the east is governed by the wood element.
Exactly. And wood requires water to grow, to channel its energy, to literally stay alive. The 9-bend Yellow River isn't just a moat. It serves as the mystical circulatory system for that specific array. Without that elemental flow, the Azure Dragon is essentially a dried-out, paralyzed husk. It looks intimidating, but it cannot move.
That's crazy. Then he breaks down the White Tiger Array in the west. The west is governed by the metal element, which represents raw, unyielding martial power. But Zongbao points out it's missing 2 gold gongs for the tiger's eyes and 2 yellow flags for his ears.
Yeah, sensory deprivation.
Exactly. He's looking at this massive engine of aggression and realizing it has no sensory input. It's a ferocious beast. But it can't see its targets, and it can't hear his commands.
And finally, he analyzes the Black Tortoise Array, or Xuanwu, situated in the north. The north is aligned with the water element, representing deep, dark, overwhelming force.
Okay.
Zongbao identifies that it is missing 2 pearl sun and moon black silk flags. Those celestial pearls are required to govern the balance of yin and yang, to pull the tides of that water element. Without them, the North Array is just stagnant energy.
I mean, returning to our cybersecurity analogy for a second.
Yeah.
Zongbao isn't just looking at the enemy's impenetrable firewall and guessing where to hit it with a hammer.
No, not at all.
He is looking at their source code. He has found the thermal exhaust port on the Death Star. He sees that the central server is blind, the cooling system is offline, the targeting sensors are disconnected, and the power grid is uncalibrated.
Right.
If you exploit those specific missing lines of code, the entire 72-node network will crash.
It is a flawless architectural diagnosis, but, it begs a massive question.
Yeah.
The Emperor, Lady Yang, and General Lu Lang are all wondering the exact same thing you probably are right now. How does a 14-year-old boy possess the source code for an unprecedented magical superweapon?
Right. Because he didn't just figure it out by staring really hard at the map.
Mm-hmm.
When his grandmother presses him, Zongbao admits that recently, while he was following her, he wandered off and had an encounter with a divine being known as a Great Holy Mother.
Yeah, casual divine encounter.
It's casual, yeah. And this entity handed him a military book containing the exact schematics and secrets of the Heavenly Gate Array.
He was handed a literal cheat code by the heavens. He holds the ultimate blueprint to dismantle Empress Xiao's forces.
But having the blueprint to destroy your enemy is only valuable if you can keep that blueprint secure. And this is where the epic fantasy takes a sharp, brutal turn into a frustrating political thriller.
Yeah, it really does, because General Lu Lang is overjoyed. I mean, his son has just handed him the keys to the kingdom. He immediately formats Zongbao's brilliant strategy into a formal report and sends it up the chain of command to Emperor Zhenzong.
Right.
They plan to launch their attack the very next morning and just wipe the array off the map.
But the emperor's inner circle is harboring a traitor, a minister named Privy Councillor Wang Shumi.
Wang Shumi intercepts this highly classified military intelligence, and he doesn't just, bury it or delay it. He takes this meticulously detailed report of every single vulnerability and leaks it directly to the enemy camp.
Wow.
He sends it straight to Empress Xiao.
I have to pause here because the sheer audacity of this treason is mind-boggling. We are talking about the highest level of classified military intelligence derived from a divine encounter spoken directly to the emperor of the Song dynasty.
Yeah.
And it immediately gets handed to the enemy. It makes you realize how fragile power truly is. You can have the gods on your side, but if your human bureaucracy is corrupt, you are completely defenseless.
What's fascinating here is how the human element completely compromised the divine intervention. But also, look at how the enemy handles the leaked intelligence.
Right.
Empress Xiao receives this report, and she doesn't panic. She doesn't execute the messenger. She calmly hands the intelligence over to her chief architect, strategist Lu.
And strategist Lu's reaction is incredible. He reads Zongbao's list of fatal flaws. He sees that the central node is blind, the dragon is paralyzed, the tiger is deaf, and the tortoise is stagnant. And instead of throwing a tantrum and defending his original design with his ego, he just nods.
Yeah. Strategist Lu treats it exactly like a senior developer receiving an open-source bug bounty report.
Yes.
He looks at the diagnostics, acknowledges that the 14-year-old's analysis is absolutely flawless, and he simply implements the patches.
So he orders the Fumi-9 lanterns to be hung at the Jade Emperor Pavilion, bringing the central processor online. He routes the 9-bend Yellow River into the Azure Dragon Array, giving it life. He installs the gold gongs and yellow flags, granting the white tiger its sight and hearing. And he places the pearl, sun, and moon flags in the north, perfectly balancing the black tortoise.
Because Zongbao's diagnosis was so incredibly precise, it acted as the ultimate QA test quality assurance test for the enemy's weapon.
Unbelievable.
Once strategist Lu finishes applying these patches, he turns to Empress Xiao and makes this chilling declaration. He tells her that with these additions in place, the array is now so perfect that even if Shenanyuan resurrected, he couldn't break it.
Xuanyuan being the Yellow Emperor, right? A legendary mythological founding father of Chinese civilization and the supreme god of war. Lu is effectively saying, thanks to the Song Dynasty's bug report, our weapon is now god-proof.
Exactly. The flaw was the only entry point into the system. By mapping that flaw and allowing it to leak, they gave the enemy exactly what they needed to seal the system permanently.
Which sets the stage for a truly devastating morning.
Oh, it's so sad.
The sun comes up. Zongbao, riding high on teenage confidence and divine validation, marches out at the head of the Song troops. Earlier, he had been bragging that his victory was going to be like wind sweeping away leaves.
Yeah, he is so cocky.
He is fully prepared to walk into the valley and shatter the array.
So he rides out to the edge of Nine Dragon Valley. He scans the horizon, looking for the gaps he knows are there. He looks for the darkness at the center. He looks for the blind tiger and the paralyzed dragon.
And he sees the lanterns burning brightly at the Jade Emperor Pavilion. He hears the rush of the 9-bend Yellow River. He sees the gold gongs shining in the west and the pearl flag shifting in the north.
Yeah.
Every single exploit has been patched. The array is whole, it is humming with power, and it is completely flawless.
The realization washes over him instantly. The text describes how he looks out, sees the completed architecture, and realizes there is no road left to break it.
So he turns to his father, the great general Lu Lang. Zongbao doesn't try to sugarcoat it. He tells him outright that someone leaked the secret. He admits that the array is now truly unbreakable, that even immortals couldn't do anything. He had a divine cheat code, and his own government gave it away.
The psychological toll of that realization is the climax of this entire ordeal. General Lu Lang had spent days trapped in the despair of tactical paralysis.
Right.
He was finally handed a lifeline. He finally saw a way to save his emperor and his army. When he hears his son say that the door has been slammed shut forever, Lu Lang screams out loud and faints dead away on the battlefield.